Trump busts the tyranny of the expert class. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The experts have been wrong on so many things over the last few decades. Think about it. They've been wrong on China. They were wrong on the Iraq War. They were wrong on Libya, wrong on immigration, and dead wrong on trade. President Trump has promised to shake up the system on behalf of the American people, which he repeated today.
The United States has been taken advantage of by other countries, both friendly and not so friendly, for many, many decades. I'm here to protect, and one of the reasons I was elected is I'm protecting our workers, I'm protecting our companies, and I'm not going to let that happen.
What did the GOP establishment expect after he got elected? That somehow Donald Trump would become like one of them? Trump won by defying the conventional wisdom of the establishment, and he has continued to do just that. Donald Trump, in politics, is an innovator, and he's not afraid to break with the establishment's orthodoxy to do what he thinks, in his best judgment, is the right thing for the American people. But his own party's fairly unimaginative old guard is running to the same failed ideas of the past that got us into the ditch we were in. And at the same time, the left is moving to the extremes, and I would say to the extreme irrelevance. Now, just look at the president's proposed DACA deal. Democrats asked for amnesty for 800,000 Dreamers. Okay. Well, Donald Trump didn't actually try to meet them halfway. He actually went toward them. He raised them 1 million, as in amnesty for 1.8 million illegal immigrants. Now, I wasn't wild about that offer, frankly, but it did show Donald Trump's willingness to compromise and, frankly, to get something done. All the Democrats had to do was agree to border security and a wall, and, of course, to end the absurd policy of chain migration. So to save the DACA people, who could refuse that deal? Well, the answer is the Democrats could, because it would have given Donald Trump a win and deprived Democrats of a crucial campaign issue. Well, now the Dreamers, who've been cynically used by the Democrats, are beginning to catch on.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom! It is our duty to win! It is our duty to win!
Well, those Dreamers on Capitol Hill and their supporters yesterday were protesting Democrats. Well, who knows? Maybe they're tired of being pawns. Now let's move to North Korea. Every time Donald Trump issued a statement against Rocket Man or dropped a sanction on the regime, the experts predicted an apocalypse.
One of the things we've discovered about this new president is he has no clue about how to deal with foreign matters. He's dangerous, and he should not be talking with this kind of bluster.
This is a mess that North Korea has created, but President Trump has made it more difficult to deal with.
He is doing none of the things necessary to achieve a real diplomatic breakthrough on North Korea.
Now, instead of their promised apocalypse, we have word today that the president, well, I like to call him President Kim Jong Cabbage Patch Doll, is promising no attacks on South Korea with nukes or conventional weapons. We'll see how it goes. But North Korea is signaling a willingness to hold talks with the United States and considering at least giving up their nukes. You think that that would have happened without Trump's tough talk and reiterating that all options were on the table? Never. So much for the experts. Now, after decades of bad trade deals, let's move on to another topic, and hundreds of billions of dollars in trade deficits, Donald Trump is trying something different. He's trying to level the playing field to counter years of unfair trade practices when it comes to steel and aluminum. All that dumping was going on, all the glut in steel and aluminum. He has proposed tariffs on both steel and aluminum imports.
Our steel industry. It's a fraction of what it once was, and we can't lose our aluminum industry, also a fraction of what it once was.
Well, the establishment is in full revolt.
There is a lot of concern among Republican senators that this could sort of metastasize into a larger trade war.
We've had multiple conversations about this. He knows our view. Every now and then, we're just going to have a different approach on how we should tackle these problems. But it should be acknowledged that there is a problem that needs to be addressed here. We just want to make sure that it's done in a prudent way that's more surgical so we can limit unintended consequences.
Wait a second. Unintended consequences? Are you kidding me? Drive through Toledo, Akron, or the rest of the Rust Belt. You'll see ghost towns. You'll see a lot of people who believe that, guess what? The government abandoned them. American manufacturing gutted. People who feel hopeless. And you bet there are a lot of people addicted to opioids. They didn't feel like they had much option, did they? No matter the fallout, the establishment will always lean toward unfettered, unchecked global trade. White House economic advisor Gary Cohn, he tried to convince the president to drop his tariff idea and to back down.
I like conflict. I like having two people with different points of view, and I certainly have that. And then I make a decision. But I like watching it, I like seeing it, and I think it's the best way to go. I like different points of view.
So they battled it out in the Oval Office. Gary Cohn argued one point, no tariffs. He had other people, Bob Lighthizer, Wilbur Ross. They went for the economic nationalist point of view. So Gary Cohn's worldview, that lost out. The populist vision that won Donald Trump the election won the day. Now, this may have been brewing for a long time with Gary Cohn, and let's face it, working in the White House, getting hammered in the media for your every move, it takes its toll. It's not easy. But from an outsider's perspective, it certainly looks like Gary Cohn, picked up his marbles and went back to Goldman Sachs. Well, we cannot stand by idly while China floods our country with cheap steel and dominates the global market. Think about it this way. In 2000, that was before they became a member of the World Trade Organization, China accounted for 15% of global steelmaking capacity. By 2016, China had almost quintupled its share to nearly 49%. Does anyone think for a minute, any of the experts think about where China will be by 2025 in steelmaking? Consider the national security implications of that. You think that they're going to make our tanks and destroyers in a global conflict for us? The troubling thing is that when the establishment is wrong, as they have been on China, on tax cuts, the illegal invasion of our country, they still lack the humility to admit they were wrong. National Journal reporting today that former President George W. Bush compared his administration to the Trump administration. Bush said, "Sort of makes me look pretty good, doesn't it?" Well, actually it doesn't. Unless endless wars, a financial crisis, unchecked immigration, and leaving office with a 28% approval rating is pretty good. And by the way, George W. Bush, God bless him, love him, he's a great guy, he didn't vote for Donald Trump. So I frankly don't care what he has to say about Donald Trump at this point in time. For 8 years, George W. Bush, the establishment of the GOP, was mute during the tyranny of the Obama administration, and now, like Old Faithful, he spouts off at every opportunity to bash President Trump, either off the record or on the record. Resistance is not part of the solution, and repeating the failed policies of the past is getting us nowhere. So my message to the establishment of both parties: we've tried your expert ways for decades. It led to the rise of communist China, which is now poised, if we don't turn things around, to be the dominant economic and military power in the world. Now, President Trump, sometimes it feels like it's doing it all by himself, is trying to confront that threat and turn it around before it's too late. The globalist critics out there don't seem to care about what the freedom of the American people, whether it'll be jeopardized, our ability to chart our own destiny, our own course, the way that Donald Trump frankly sees it. The 2016 election results in those battleground states showed that the heartland was not ready to cede its freedom to the gods of globalism. Those people empowered the president to protect their liberty and restore their economic independence. And that's what he's doing. The experts be damned. And that's the angle.